Welcome, Caroline, to the Dating Intentionally podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Wow, thank you. I'm so excited. I love your podcast and I love talking about dating. I feel like I could do it forever.
Same, which is why I have the podcast.
Yes.
Okay, I am just really excited to get into your story with your fiance and kind of your dating approach. I thought it was super unique when I saw your video on your recent engagement. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Um, but the first question I start out with all my guests is, what do you want to be intentional about, or what are you being intentional about right now?
Now being like in a
In
relationship.
life. In life. Just what are you trying to be intentional
Ooh.
about?
Ooh, not even just romantic life.
Yeah, just
Everything.
life.
Okay. I'll say one thing. I'm trying to be more intentional about my work schedule, which actually is related to I just moved in with my fiance, Justin, and it's really highlighting my weird work hours because I will procrastinate all like morning and then I start working late and then I end up working very, very late at night. And there's like no reason. There's no reason for that. And I think now living with him, it just highlights how, like, well, you don't get to spend the evening with him when he's done. So change your work schedule. I'm trying to be more disciplined about that.
I really do relate. I moved in with my husband 2 years ago and I definitely had to change some things. I'm the opposite though. I like to work early in the morning. So I'm like, I want to get out of bed. And in the morning while he's having breakfast, I'm laser focused on
Yeah.
my
Like, don't talk
work.
to me.
I kind of feel bad because I'm just like, I'm trying to get a post up, dude. Like I'm trying to kind of ride
I'm
this
married to the
algorithm
internet
wave.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, but I love that that's your intention right now. It'll help you and your relationship for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. There's so many like fun and funny things to figure out. Being in a relationship, obviously dating and then also living together and it I think it's kind of fun. I like the problem solving of it and just being like there is a solution. There's going to be something we find out. I don't know what it is right now, but I do enjoy
Yeah.
like the problem solving of it all. Yeah.
That's good. That's a great sign. So I'm really curious. Just to take us back before you met Justin. Just take us back to Caroline of I don't know 2020 was when you were dating mostly.
Mm.
What was your type? How would you describe your type?
Well, 2020, back in COVID, I was actually still in a relationship. It was a different relationship. We were together for 6 years, and when did we break up? 2021. So I think it was 2021. So that was kind of near the end of it, and not a bad person. I still have a lot of care for him, but there were just so many ways that we were not fulfilled, and like the story. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and so by 2021, I think I was starting to entertain dating again. I definitely took a period of just being solo, not wanting to date at all. I'd been with someone for 6 years. I really needed that palate cleanser. And then I had spent a lot of time thinking about the different situations I'd gotten myself in romantically. And a lot of them were with people I noticed who had usually like a very deep existential sadness in them, or maybe even like a more acute problem like an addiction or something like that. And first of all, like we all have our issues, obviously, like we all have kind of our shadow. I'm not exempt from that, but I did see that I was picking this one particular kind of person over and over again because I kind of feel like a helper. And if I could help them, if I could solve their sadness, if I could fix their life problems, if I could show them the happy life or the healthier path, that's just really how I felt worthwhile as a person. Like I don't know, I guess it comes from childhood and it comes from things I am good at, but it also could take me in like really lock me into situations that ended up being damaging, really damaging for everybody. Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
basically what people will describe as codependence, and codependence, this belief that someone else won't function and they won't be well and they won't be happy unless you're there to help them. It kind of has the guise of being selfless and it kind of has the guise of being helpful, but it can keep both partners down, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it it's not, it kind of it distracts you from working on yourself or paying attention to yourself because you're like, well, I have to be there for them. And
Totally.
you get to ignore, it gives you permission to ignore all these things that you don't want to deal with.
So
Yeah.
easy to ignore your own needs. So easy to like not actually be honest in a relationship
Right.
because you keep like if any person puts aside their needs for like forever, it hurts both people. It makes life miserable for both people. And then for the person who maybe is struggling, quote, struggling and is receiving all your care, it can actually be very enabling. That's where I learned. I did so much reading about codependence. There's so many books on it. And once I realized this was my pattern, I just checked out like every freaking book I could find on it. And what I learned was that just that term, even codependence, originated talking about the dynamic between alcoholics and their enablers. So,
Oh,
an alcoholic, there's this trope of like an alcoholic comes home, they're really drunk, they pass out on the couch, maybe they make a mess and they break things, or they've, dirtied themselves and they don't get up for work the next morning. And the enabling partner, the codependent partner, will come in and like put a blanket on them and clean them up and wash their clothes and call into work and say they're sick so that the alcoholic never actually has to really face the consequences of what's happening. That's enabling. And then it also
right.
obviously takes a toll on the person doing the enabling. So I just like to kind of break that down because as someone inclined to codependence, it was really easy to think like, no, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing a good thing. I'm helping. But that was my pattern and it was damaging. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then when did you realize that was your pattern? Like, was it after that 6 year relationship? Was it during? Was it like way after?
It was, unfortunately, it was way before. It was actually
Oh,
in the
okay.
relationship I had before that I was probably like 21, 22 when I first started realizing this and putting together. And then I got into this 6 year relationship and it was different. Like this new person didn't have an addiction. So it looked different. The wrapping of it was different. And eventually I realized, there's a lot of ways to be enabling someone emotionally. It doesn't always have to be around an addiction.
Can you share some of those signs? Like the emotional
Yeah.
ones?
Honestly, I think the biggest sign, kind of like symptoms that I've learned to see in myself, is resentment. If you're feeling a lot of resentment, I think it's kind of worth looking into. First of all, I guess, like we all know, resentment is maybe like the top relationship killer. It's not going to thrive if there's resentment. It might even turn into contempt, which is the for sure killer. And so I think that's definitely a symptom that I kind of even today in a really like healthy, great relationship that I love, I still look out for that. If I'm feeling a spark, even a tiny bit of resentment, I'm like, okay, so that means that I gave them something that I think I gave selflessly. Maybe I gave them time or energy or patience or some enabling thing even that I actually really didn't want to give. And I wasn't honest about that. I wasn't honest with myself. I wasn't honest with them. And I didn't give it freely. I actually was really expecting to get something back.
Right.
Beyond like the normal mutuality of a relationship. Like I was expecting I don't know what. But that's when the resentment comes up because there is that difference between just like naturally giving to each other and being like giving something that you really don't have the capacity to give.
I
And that's
have the
when you're
perfect example of
betraying.
this because this literally came up this weekend with my husband, and it's been coming up since January when he started to have to go back to work full time because he works for the government, which is fantastic. So, so this change caused the lunch scenario to be different in our household, where normally when we were from home, we would have lunch together. We would, I would stop my work, I would prepare lunch because that, by the way, was my previous career. I had a company called the Work Week Lunch that was all about meal prep.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, so like it kind of just fell to me because like it's like obviously I'm the lunch girl. So when he went back to work, I kind of just rolled into like making his lunches for him, like his mom, to take to work. And at first, like we didn't discuss this. It just kind of happened. And I was definitely feeling a ton of resentment. So my first step that was like, okay, I noticed the resentment, but what do I need to change? Because I didn't want to bring it up until I had a clear ask. Like, okay, I don't like this, but I don't really know how I want it to change in a way that makes sense. So I waited until I came up with the idea and I just said to him, like, we had a relationship check and I was like, listen, we got to talk about the lunches. I feel like I'm your mom. I don't like doing this. I'm really busy in the morning. Like I just said, I have work to do in the morning. I'm trying to get stuff done. I can't really do this. So what I need from you is you have to ask me to do it or you do it yourself. Those are the two options.
Oh,
I'm cool with having
nice.
food in the fridge. Like I can take care of that. I can make sure there's stuff for you to take, but I'm not going to do it for you in the morning unless like put it in the thing in the
Yeah.
container unless
It's
you
an
ask me to.
opt-in policy. You got to
Yeah, it's
opt
like
in.
I'm not expected to do it. You have to actually request this from me, and I'm fine to do
Yeah.
that. Well, because
Wow.
what happened was I kept forgetting and feeling bad because it wasn't. I'm like,
Okay.
this isn't my food. Like you have to go to work. Like this, you're an adult. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kept
yeah.
forgetting. I'm like, oh man, but you never even asked me to do this. Anyway, that's like an example of what you're talking about.
I love that example. And I also am like amazed at the solution because, like, just that subtle shift of like the difference I feel like in making your person lunch because like they actually asked it and they do want your help and they do want support in that like sweet small way, and then being able to give it to them, like that is such a different feeling than just being
Yes.
like, I know everything you need and so I'm just stretching myself. Like sometimes I
Yeah. No.
hear the voice of like a resentful, angry, burnt out mom in my head, and I'm like, I don't want to be that, but I have the potential to do it if I don't
Yeah.
look out for these little moments of resentment. Yeah.
That's different because like you, by the way, I had a 6 year relationship that ended in 2021. Crazy.
Classic.
Yeah,
Classic.
classic. What was it about 2021?
What was it?
So I would hang on to the resentment. I didn't do anything with this. I think it's like the lesson is noticing it, and then as soon as you notice it, like you have to express it in some way or like tell them and invite them to help you make it different. You don't have it doesn't have to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Something really great I heard, I don't know where I heard this advice, was just how, like, when you were saying, like, I didn't even know what I wanted as the solution yet, something I really loved that I heard was that when maybe feel that resentment or some other issue you want to sit down and talk to your partner about, is sitting down with them and, like, knowing actually that you don't have to have the solution yet because it's a partnership and you get to sit down and just like write a draft together, and you can sit down and be like, okay, I have like the intro paragraph to this draft, like this is what's bothering me, this is what I'm feeling, I don't actually even know totally why or totally what I want differently, but maybe we can write the draft together. And I don't know, I think I'd like never heard that before, and it's such a lovely idea and just like emphasizes that the problem isn't just your problem, it's a problem
Yeah.
that affects both people, so we'll write the draft together.
It's like what you were saying earlier about moving in. It's like you're writing the draft. All these issues that are going to pop up that you didn't even know would come up because you've never lived together before. Like
Yeah.
you're going to write the draft and you'll figure it
Yeah.
out. You realize that pattern, which was amazing. So then what was your approach to switching up your approach, like to dating? Like, because you did something really amazing, which is why I wanted to have you on. A lot of people dating don't do this. They know there's an issue, but they don't really change anything, or their option is really just to complain about like the state of men or women, like, instead of actually
Yeah.
doing something different.
Yeah. I've had all the dating complaints and I probably agree with any complaint anybody has. And also, I feel very strongly that, like, who can I file this complaint with? I can't just like send a complaint to like the dating lobby. Like, it's my life. And if I want to get results that make me happy, it's really up to me to do things and change things, or at least try something different. That feels so good to me, to just be like, well, I'm doing it differently. And I think the first thing I tried was actually like maybe a fairly superficial, well, we'll see, a sort of superficial adjustment to who I was open to dating. I think before I had not really thought about a man's career, and I did men. And I was just like, whatever you do, like, whatever, it's fine. And I do still feel that way. But the one adjustment I took into dating, specifically dating men, was that, like, one of the first things that I prioritized was just trying to vet if people were, like, decently satisfied with their life, whether that meant their social life, their professional life, their whatever, decently satisfied. Like, no one is just like completely, I have every single thing I want and I'll have it forever. We all yearn for things. But I really wanted to find people who'd like taken the time to make a life they liked to a reasonable degree. And then for the things they still yearned for, didn't have yet, still wanted, that they had a sense of like owning getting to them. That like, okay, well, I want this promotion, or I am dissatisfied living in this neighborhood. I'm going to be proactive about looking to move somewhere else. Or like, I'm feeling really lonely. Well, I'm trying these things to meet new people. Just like either a decent level of satisfaction, like they've put in the work to their life, and also owning and having agency over taking care of themselves, basically. Because I'm going to
That's
do
so
that
attractive
for myself.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
such an attractive quality. Like, I think if people listening, I think that's something, it's like, it doesn't matter if you care about that or not, like definitely work on that. It's a very attractive quality to see
totally.
someone taking agency and being like, I don't like this. I want to, so I'm going to try things different. I'm going to change something. I'm going to like try to change the outcome or just my feelings around it. So maybe it's your mindset. Maybe it's not changing the thing. Maybe it's working on your mindset. But like there are different
Yeah.
ways of like, it's like getting yourself out of that situation. And it's like you as a partner to someone who I assume has these qualities, otherwise you're not going to be with them. It's like you're there to support them, but you're not there to do it for them.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels more like we are like, Justin and I are in parallel with these
Yeah,
things.
that's
There's always
awesome.
things that we're personally, you have dissatisfactions in life or things you want or something you need to fix. And also, honestly, like personally, I have a lot of personal experience with depression and anxiety and mental illness in many, many forms, personally with people I've dated. And even with that, there's a certain way you can own it and have agency. Like, I'm not saying
Right.
you can never be depressed. I am often, but there is also like a certain level of being like, okay, this is my lot and this is how I'm going to deal with it.
Yes.
And I feel like Justin and I honestly even relate over that. Like we both have those ups and downs, but we can kind of like bolster each other up, but the individual ultimately like owns what they're going through.
So when you were dating, how did you know someone had that? What did
It
you
was
look
really
for?
hard to tell.
Yeah.
It was really hard to tell. Yeah, so that's what I wanted. And then trying to figure out from a dating profile, I was dating online, if somebody has that, it's like kind of impossible. Like you just have to, it's a lot of trial and error. You just have to throw stuff out there. So at first, I think I just started going on dates with men who seemed like very confident and maybe like bolder, more confident, more self-assured than I usually went for. That wasn't usually the type I went for. I think that kind of person kind of scared and intimidated me because I'm not necessarily like that. And also, oh, like they must be so much better than me. Like I don't know. But then I was just like, screw it. I'm going to mix things up. I'm going to choose these men that kind of scare the shit out of me. They seem like they have great lives. They've got full social lives and a career they're proud of. And they're doing this and they're doing that. And they're busy and they're on the move. And it scares the shit out of me. And I wanted to kind of follow the fear and be like, well, I keep avoiding people who are confident and happy about their lives. So let's see what happens if I try dating them.
Okay.
And which like I don't know if it sounds so dumb me describing this,
No.
but it was like a big change. It was a big change.
That doesn't sound dumb at all.
And then some of those people I met, a mix of people that way. That's almost just looking at superficial qualities too. Like what is the content of your life? And some of those people were cool people, and some of those people were still just like missing one thing for me, I think, which is like they just didn't give that much time or attention or consideration to me. They were very much in the path of like pursue the next thing, get the next thing. Okay, had a date with this girl, cool, I guess she likes me, got her attention, on to the next thing. You also get that. So
Yeah.
like, being confident and having seemingly fulfilled life, there's so much nuance to suss out there still.
I get your line of thinking there. And I do
Yeah.
appreciate that that was your approach. Like, okay, what if I tried dating someone who does have it all together instead of the person who is like missing a bunch of stuff and like needs me to fill these voids? Let's see what happens. And then you found out, okay, not everyone is the vibe I'm looking for in this category. But how do you think that step helped you find Justin?
I think it was a good step because it was like, okay, I've identified one type. Now I'm just going to go date another type. And there's no guarantee that like that entire type are people who are going to fit me, but it at least was like kind of, pivoting where I'm shining my light. Okay, let's start looking over here now. And then I had to refine further in that category. And I think it was also just like, even with the people it didn't work out with, it was still also just like kind of emboldening to be like, I can spend time with people who I thought I couldn't spend time with. Like, I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I wasn't, I don't know. Like these people are like they're too busy and too interesting and too whatever for me. Like I can't. And then to kind of just like step into the fear and be like, yeah, I can. And sometimes I'm nervous and like that's okay. I survived it and I'm trying new things now. And then I think the thing that I had to just like further refine was seeing who was basically emotionally available, like who was available and interested in emotionally investing in me. And that's not everybody. It certainly was
No.
not everybody. I think it's very few people. I think it's rare to find that. That's why it takes a long time to date.
I think you nailed that. I think my husband did the same thing. He was emotionally investing in me from the beginning, even though
Yep.
I was a little more neutral and like kind of cooled off. I was like, I don't know. But okay, he keeps showing up. So I guess he hasn't done anything wrong yet. So I guess I'll just keep seeing him. That
Yeah,
was more my vibe with my
totally.
husband. But yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that's how it should be with men and women. Obviously, there's no one size fits all. It can go whatever way. But for me, I think that show of investment, like Justin, I would say Justin came on pretty strong in a way. Like he was pursuing me. I mean, we were mutually going on dates, but he also just had this like intention and like seriousness in dating. And, he would put so much effort into planning our dates, every single one of our early dates. Like I barely had to do anything. And he
Yeah.
would plan these beautiful dates with like multi-step things to do. He like bought me a gift on our fifth date, like a book, and got this beautiful wrapping paper and wrote me a card. It was our fifth date. And it was a lot of intention, with the caveat being that he didn't expect anything from me in return. It wasn't like giving you a gift so that now I owe him, or giving him a gift so that now I feel pressured to give him this or do that or feel this way. He was very much just like, I want you to know that I'm liking getting to know you. I want you to know that I like it.
Yeah.
And whatever you're feeling in the meantime, I'm interested in hearing. So it was kind of that like, it's a
No,
balance.
we have to call this out. This is so important because there's a huge difference between being intentional but being like, this is how I show I like you, or doing those things to get you to like them. He
Yeah, like
wasn't
love
doing
bombing,
that. Yeah, he
basically.
wasn't buying you that book on the fifth date or whatever to get you to like him. He already knew
Yeah.
you liked him because you
Yeah.
were there. And that's all he
Yeah.
needed.
He was just like showing me his seriousness. And I think
Yeah.
I'd literally never encountered this kind of like intentional dating from a guy that I was interested in before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to make of it. I literally had to like Google, am I being love bombed? And I had to talk to my therapist about it. And I was like, well, he makes such an effort and he does all this stuff and he seems so like set on blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. And she was like, well, what does he expect you to give him in return? Or do you feel pressured in return? Do you feel like manipulated into showing up a certain way on return? And I had specifically asked him this. I was like, it's a lot. Like, what do you want from me? What do you want? And I literally asked him and he was like, I don't want anything from you. Like, wherever you're at is fine. This is just what I like to do when I like someone. And that was the difference. There was no expectation on me. I could feel exactly how I wanted to. I could take the pace the way I wanted to. And the truth was, like, I actually really liked him and I didn't need to go that slow, but I just wanted to. It was so shocking to meet someone
Isn't it
who was
wild?
putting intention in. It's wild.
It's like, it's crazy how someone giving you space to have your feelings and showing you that they like you for just you is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You're like, what's wrong with you? It really is that thing, though. I think that you look for it. That's how I felt. It's like I was holding out for this like high level of respect and intention and consideration, really, and holding out and like determined that it was out there and hard to find, but it must be out there. And then once I encountered it, it was so rare that I did have a hard time believing it. I think especially if you've been in situations that really like damaged you before, or been, maybe were even abusive or manipulative or whatever, it's really hard to trust the good thing. And it took me a while. I think I had a lot of damage, and it took me a while to relax into it and trust it. And also, the right person was instrumental in helping me, giving me the space to relax.
Wow. So, okay, what's your advice then for the persons? I know my listeners are thinking this, like, but what if you weren't you scared of getting hurt? How did you know you weren't going to
Totally.
get hurt? Like, how
You
did you
don't.
navigate that?
You don't know you're not going to get hurt. That's the answer. You don't know. You don't control it no matter what. You don't.
Yeah.
It was something that I, again, talked about in therapy. And the thing that I like grew to embrace was, yeah, I think I had a lack of trust going into dating. I had been hurt. I felt like I had my time wasted. I'd been disrespected in many different ways. And I had this lack of trust, but it wasn't even like, I guess it feels like a lack of trust in men or whoever you're dating, women, like anyone can get burned enough times that they lose trust. But for me, at the core of it was a lack of trust in myself. Like, I realized I don't trust myself to vet people. I don't trust myself to not get into a dangerous situation. I don't trust my intuition anymore. I don't trust my ability to make a call here. It's really a lack of trust in me. And then the thing I worked on was building my own sense of trust in myself, in my ability to discern, in my ability to speak up for myself, to advocate for myself, to be honest about how somebody made me feel, and not just listen to outside input or pressures or manipulation about how I should feel or what I should do. And that took like months, maybe years. Like, I still had to work on it in my relationship with Justin, even once we were like boyfriend, girlfriend. But I think embracing the fact that it's not about guaranteeing that you'll never be hurt, because that's almost inevitable in dating. It's
Yeah.
more
And
about
love.
yes, and love, totally. It was more about learning to trust that no matter what happens, I will be okay. No matter what happens, I'm learning to take care of myself, because I'm learning to not abandon myself. I'm learning to advocate for myself. I'm learning to say hard things. I'm learning to communicate. I'm learning to ask for space. I'm learning to ask questions when they're in my head and I feel like I'm not allowed to ask them, but I want to. Like, that is the trust you build. And then whatever other people do is always going to be out of your control. But I trust that I'm a person who will cut it off or step away or set a boundary when I need to. That's the only thing I control.
That is so beautiful. And I know we just met, but I am so proud of you.
Oh my God.
Like, I seriously, like
Thank
that,
you.
that kind of
Thanks.
transformation is what I want all my listeners who are struggling with this to go through, because you're absolutely right. It really just comes down to that self-trust factor, and giving, it's like people are going to act the way they're going to act. You only can control what's going on inside you. And you
Yeah.
clearly have come such a long way. And I just hope that people listening can realize that they can too. It's amazing. Okay, I want to shift gears for a second and talk about something that comes up a lot, which is dating breaks.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you, in your video that I watched about your engagement, which was so beautiful, and I'll link it in the show notes, you talked about how you like met Justin, from what I understand, after a dating break. It's like you were like, okay, I'm ready to start again. You were like, something's coming, which, by the way, like that feeling of something's coming, I felt that too before I met my husband. So weird.
Girl.
I know. I mean, when you said that in the video, I was like, I kept saying there's something in the air. That was
Yeah.
my vibe.
You know what my theory is? My theory is that, again, that is a feeling about yourself, is a
Okay.
feeling that like, I mean, this is how I felt, I guess, was the feeling that like, I want this connection. I do want this relationship. And also I am not so desperate for it that I am willing to damage myself for it. I'm not willing to subject myself to the wrong things. Like, I'm ready and I'm open and I'm putting myself out there in whatever ways. But it's just a numbers game. It's like stuff's
Yeah.
passing me by.
Something's gonna happen.
Something's
It's
gonna
stick.
happen. I'm
Yeah.
ready to like kind of like claim the right thing when it comes by. I'm ready.
That's so powerful. I love that. But yes, back to dating breaks. So, what was the sign that you needed a break? Because I know you took a few breaks in your journey.
Yeah. Well, I definitely took a long break when I came out of a relationship. And that break, I think, is a different kind, which I think is so important. Really, after any relationship, whether it's a couple months or years, decades, because you will change. Like, it doesn't have to be changing in a bad way. Sometimes it's a good way, but you get into the culture of what it's like to date one person. And then if that relationship goes sour, there's presumably things in that culture between the two of you that maybe weren't great for you. And I felt like I needed an offboarding process to return to me. What's my normal? Because if you come out of let's say an abusive relationship and you go on a date the next week, and you've been immersed in abuse or an abusive dynamic or just a damaging dynamic for a long time, that next person you go on a date with only has to be incrementally kinder to you for you to think it's a catch. That's not the standard. I felt like I needed to do a full palate cleanse to be like, what does life feel like? What do I feel like when I am living it the way I want, and the people I'm surrounded with treat me with respect, my friends, my family, the way I interact at work. Like, literally, what does it feel like to go to work and not feel stressed because of my relationship, and get back that feeling so that when I date someone, I'm like, ooh, you're making me deviate from this feeling. Like, work is way worse now because of you, or friendships are way worse now because of this stress, or family is way more stressful because of whatever. So, like, that's the palate cleanser.
Can you just say how long? What's a long break? How many months? Like years? What's weeks?
I think it was at least 6 months, which actually, okay. I mean, I guess that's long for some people, but I think you could go much longer too. I think like you might need years. I think it's just very personal. Yeah. But that one was like, a more significant break. And I will say, I think it was even only that short because I had emotionally detached myself in that 6-year relationship for probably like the last 2 years. I was very much existing and living as a single person, in so much as I did not have emotional support from someone for like the last 2 years. So I was already just isolated. I spent all my time alone. He wasn't really around. I was emotionally alone. So I had spent a good few years just being like, okay, I'm the one who takes care of me. And then after the relationship officially ended, there was this period of like,
same,
fully doing it. Yeah. I don't know. I think the month count, it just depends. It just depends.
So you're saying for you, a break meant a time to come back to yourself. What is the baseline?
Yes.
I totally agree. For listeners who are like, well, I want to take a break, but what if my person's out there when I'm on my break? How do you not get FOMO?
Well, okay. I will say this. I felt like, I think what you were actually asking about is probably like the breaks in dating when I'm in dating, because I also took breaks then, and those were shorter. Those would be like maybe a month, maybe 2 months. But again, I think it just really depends. Maybe you need a break of a week. Like, it depends where you're at. And I would take those breaks pretty frequently, multiple times a year when I was dating again, as soon as I notice myself getting pissed off all the time, feeling jaded, like hating everything I saw on the apps, and coming in with this honestly very negative energy. If a guy or a girl or whoever showed up on a date with me and was just like, how all women suck, I'd be like, I'm not interested in talking to you. And the truth is, like, this applies to all genders. A lot of men, and I did see this on the apps, you could see men who'd been like really hurt by a lot of women. It happens to everybody. And they would, like, on their profile, they'd say something that was super bitter, super jaded, I'd like to find a woman who actually XYZ, or like doesn't XYZ. And it's like, first of all, I can feel your pain from here. I know you've been hurt. And you just can't show up with that energy. Who wants to be around that? And I could have that energy sometimes, and you're not going to have success. So that's when I'd take a break. I'd be like, okay, you're in timeout. Just go, like, get off the app, go live your life. Obviously, you're annoyed right now, and that's understandable, but it's also, like, not the way you want to walk into anything. So I would take that break, and literally, there was no set time. It would just be like, when do you feel not annoyed to get back on an app again? Like, when do you feel up to it energetically?
Okay. So that was your sign to go back to it. Yeah, up to it energetically. The jaded feeling is gone. You do need to have a palate cleanser month or two or whatever. So did you feel nervous when you like ended a break to get back into it, or was it more just like, fuck it?
Not really. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I really had a nervous feeling or like the FOMO feeling you were talking about, because I guess I spent a lot of time like I mean, just watching myself and being like, yeah, you're being like a nasty bitch. Like, you're being rude and you're not giving people a chance. Like, I don't really think like this is like the state. And, I didn't even like how I was being
Right.
sometimes. And then I think I also spent a lot of time watching other people, watching other couples. And I don't think I can easily point to a bunch of people who find their healthy, nourishing relationship when they are actively just like, seeking violence against the world. I don't really see it happening
Hmm.
very much. I don't know if I can think of any example. I think it would be an exception. So it just
Yeah.
didn't even feel to me like that's when it happens. And I don't know. I almost hesitate to say that because it can be that frustrating catch 22 of like, people are like, oh, you find someone when you're not looking, which is
No,
infuriating. But I
it's
think
not.
there's like a tiny bit, there's a tiny portion I agree with, which is that like you do just have to come in with the right energy. Like I was still looking for people. It's not like I wasn't looking. I was honest with myself that yes, I want a relationship, but I also wasn't like so I don't know. There's a different energy to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you weren't like desperate, like I need a relationship. I need to find someone. My biological clock is ticking. That's like when you're probably not going to find someone either. I think that's where that advice comes from.
It
Like
makes
it
you very
comes when you're not.
frustrated.
Yeah, it
Makes
makes
you
you
very
frustrated.
frustrated and you treat people differently and you also won't
Yeah.
do a good job like looking out for yourself because if you're like, "Well, I just need to pin
Right.
down somebody," then you're at really like a high risk
Yes.
to lock yourself up with somebody that's not good for you. It's like it's not a good like in a panicked, desperate, pressured state. It's not a good state to be like house hunting in. You're going to sign on to something you don't like. It's not a good state to
Yes.
be
Job
boyfriend
search.
hunting in, any of it, job
Yeah.
hunting in.
Yeah.
It's just
No.
like there's no other state, for any of those. It's like, okay, yes, you want to have a job. You don't have to delude yourself into thinking, oh, you don't need to have a job. You do. You want it. You do want to have a home. Like, yes, it's okay to acknowledge that. You do want to have a partner. It's okay to acknowledge that. You don't have to like gaslight yourself into thinking you don't want something that you
Right.
want. But there's also like a different like energy and openness and like taking a breath. You can return to you and then you can walk into that job interview, that house hunting or that date with like, this is who I am. These are the things I want. Let's be open to what you're
Yeah.
offering, kind of thing.
And also back to your thing about self-trust. It's like trusting that you are going to come back to dating and you're not going to, the right person for you isn't going to pass you by. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think I don't think that there's like one random person out there. I guess
neither.
this is people get into
Yeah.
it on this, but it's like, okay, if there's only one person in this world, in this lifetime that I could ever connect with, and they happen to live 15 minutes away from me, like, I just don't think that's how it
No,
works.
that's not how it works.
No, I think there's like lots of people that you can love. There's lots of friends I love, and I connect with them all in different ways. And I met them all at different times, and we each connect on like different planes too. The relationship is different, and I just think that why would it be different with romantic connection? Like there's more that's required for romantic connection, but ultimately it's still just like connection and timing and a bit of a numbers game, I think.
I love it. And you're so on point with this. And I really appreciate everything you're saying. I think listeners need to hear this. I do have one email that I want to read with you, a
Oh,
listener
cool.
question. Are you
Cool.
down?
I'm so down, yeah.
Okay. So, do you have any pets?
I don't.
Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I have a lot of family dogs that I love, and I'm contemplating becoming a cat person, so I'm going to say yes to both.
Okay, great. So this kind of relates to that. You
Okay.
ready? All right. I, 37 female, met a man, 39 male, on a dating app, and we've been seeing each other for 6 weeks. It's been going really well. We seem to have a lot in common. There are no games, and we want similar things for our futures. We've been seeing each other consistently twice a week, typically once out and once at either one of our places for a sleepover, and we started sleeping together 3 weeks ago. A couple things have me suddenly changing my thoughts and feelings towards him, and I don't know if it's old wounds and habits of looking for something wrong or if I should take serious note of this change. And there are two things. One, The mornings after our sleepovers are totally a different weird vibe. Previously, I chalked it up to one of us needing to attend to commitments. However, last weekend, neither of us needed to be anywhere, and the vibe was just off. He seems really serious, disinterested, and disengaged. We went for breakfast, and he barely looked at me, and the conversation just didn't flow. Here's the second one. On 2 occasions, he's been a bit rough with my dog. The first time he did it, I softly mentioned that he's not that kind of dog and doesn't like rough play. When he did it the next time, my dog cowered away from him, which I pointed out. He responded with very little care. The next day over text, he was really hamming up how much he loves my dog and his temperament, which seemed to me that he realized his actions and was trying to overcompensate. To me, his actions and words were incongruent, which leaves me feeling very uneasy. I have a great life. I don't want to invite drama or unease into my life. I also don't want to waste too much energy in the wrong place. I've done that too often before. Any advice on whether of these things warrant ending the relationship, or is it worth continuing to pursue it?
Wow, that took
Yeah.
so many twists. Whoa!
I know.
Whoa!
I know. So it's like, okay, so let's just talk about the first thing. Like the
Mm-hmm.
morning after a sleepover with someone new, their mood is different. Like maybe they're not a morning person. Maybe like they're
Mm-hmm.
distracted. I know for me, like I didn't have sleepovers until I was committed, like in a relationship with someone, which
Same.
usually took months
Same.
because my mornings are sacred. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to stay in bed. Like I just don't want to deal with it. I have to really like you. To
That's
stay
so
in
funny.
bed with you in the morning. So
Totally.
like I could see how like I would be that person who, like is like rushing you out. Like okay, we just leave. I have to do things. Like I got to go work out. Bye. So I don't know about that. That one to me, it's like I would probably ask him. It's like, are you someone who has a lot to do? Like, are you distracted? Like, what's up?
Totally. You just ask because you just don't know. I mean, with a guy, it's early on, like maybe he has self-conscious feelings about the sex or the night, or like you just don't know, and like you don't have to guess. And it feels it's I think it is the hardest leap early in dating somebody, when it's like you don't have years of a communication flow built up, but you can like set the tone for that. And I think whether it works out with this guy or not, whether he's the one or he's a monster, it's so important to practice communicating the hard things. And that's how I would think of it in dating. It was so hard for me. I was a horrible communicator. I actually think I'm like pretty good at it now. But even like those moments where it's like, I really want to know what's going on, but it's so awkward to ask and I don't know what to add, and da da da. You can say exactly what you said to us. Just say what you noticed. I've noticed. You could be like, this feels awkward and I'm nervous to ask this, but I kind of want to ask. And I noticed in the morning the tone is so different. I noticed like it almost seems like you look at me less, or you're less talkative, or like the vibe feels different. And I can like make up a bunch of reasons in my head, maybe why that's happening, but I figured I would just ask you. And I actually wouldn't feed him. I wouldn't feed him a bunch of answers. Like, is it because you're this? I
Oh
actually
yeah,
wouldn't,
yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would just say what you just said to us. And it's like, even if he sucks and he's a monster and you never see him again, you practiced communicating hard things, and you need to practice it. You need to practice it, and it gets less scary. B, if he sucks, he'll be like, he won't be able to have this conversation with you. And then like that's an answer.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like option C, he's like, oh, I didn't know it felt so awkward, but like I am really sleepy in the morning, or blah blah blah, but like but I care that you feel that way. And then you talk about it and it goes place from there. Or he's like, actually, yes, I do feel really awkward, and it's because I'm thinking about this thing, and you have a conversation that way. But either way, you win. And I literally would tell myself sometimes when I'd get like really nervous about saying something, or really anxious, or like you get all these knots in your stomach and it feels like it's life and death. It's like, it's actually an opportunity. This is such an important opportunity because I'm terrified to ask the important question, and I'm going to get better at it. And I'm also going to get answers, and I'm not going to make false assumptions, and I won't waste my time.
Yes, a huge win, like you said. I agree. Call it out. Don't feed him answers. Great tip. And it's like so much better than taking it personally, being like, I'm causing him to be weird or something. Like it's
You
not
really
about you,
don't
probably.
know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I think those weirdnesses happen multiple times, even in relationships that last like forever, but especially early
Get in
on.
the funk.
You just don't know. You just don't know what's going on. Yeah.
All right, what about the dog thing?
Okay,
What's going on here?
that one scared me more.
Yeah,
That
this
one
one definitely is way scarier.
that one actually did scare me more. And again, like you don't know what the intention is, or you don't know what he's thinking, or like maybe he bred dogs and he was taught to interact with them this way because it makes them better. Like you don't know. But I also kind of feel like it at a certain point with some things, the intention doesn't matter. Like, I think the bottom line is it's your dog, and you asked him, you actually told him how you expect you and your dog to be treated. And at a certain point, it really doesn't matter like why he doesn't do it. It's just like,
Yeah.
well, I don't allow loved ones to be treated a certain way. So I think it was almost the fact that like, who knows why he was rough with the dog?
It doesn't really matter why on
It
this
doesn't
one, I
really
don't think.
matter. I think the thing that matters is that like he didn't seem to hear or maybe care about your request. That matters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she didn't like say what because this happened twice, but she said the first time he was rough with the dog, and the second time the dog cowered. But we don't know if was he more gentle? Was he like I don't know. We don't. That's missing
No,
information here.
so it
So
wasn't
like
clear if he was rough the
yeah,
second time.
because like yeah, a dog would cower if the first time
Ooh, yeah.
that makes sense. So it's like if he changes his behavior like and it's noticeable. Like I would invite him over one more time just to see how it goes and be like really clear. And if he does
Oh
anything
yeah.
I think is not cool with the dog, he's out. Like I'm sorry, this is just making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna ask you to leave now, and I don't want to see you anymore. Like that's kind of where I would be at that point.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I think it would like it really would irk me. Like the first roughness would irk me alone. But okay, like maybe we don't know. We don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like one of those many things that happen in dating. There are little things I feel like that happen all the time where I'm like, okay, you could be a serial killer. Maybe this is something a serial killer would do. Or like you're just socially awkward,
Oh my
or
God.
like you
Yeah.
were raised a different way, or I don't know. And I actually think like for me, those things I was confused a lot. I was like, will they murder me, or did they grow up speaking a different language? I can't tell. And so, sometimes it helped me. It helped me to be like, you're just taking note of it. Like you actually don't have to know right away, but you also definitely don't have to erase it from your memory. Like
Yeah.
you're taking notes. You're kind of a detective, and you take the note, you notice that it happened, you notice you really didn't like it, and you practice communicating a difficult or uncomfortable thing, and then you watch how they respond, both when you communicate it and both if they follow up with their actions, and then see if other things like that occur. Like it could be a weird isolated incident with an explanation I can't think of, but if he also, I don't know, what's the listener considering? Like he's a dangerous person, or he's a
Right.
harmful person, or he's just doesn't
Or
respect
it just makes
my
her
wishes.
uncomfortable. Yeah, just
Great. Then
discomfort.
if he is that way, I think there will be more evidence to confirm you feeling that way about him,
Yeah.
which is why you just have to pay attention to how someone makes you feel. If you feel uncomfortable with somebody for an extended period of time, it's a no.
So I do have one example of like in my relationship where early on, so my husband Johnny, he kind of is a roughhouser, and I know it sounds scarier than it is, but we'll do like a pillow fight. We'll do like, like kind of like on the bed, like tickling, whatever.
Yeah.
And he would do things that it's like we're not like in kindergarten on the playground. I'm not made of rubber, and I am an adult woman, so like maybe my arms and legs don't move that way, and like it felt weird having to like say that, but he did stop. Like he did learn. It's like, hey, that's a little too much. That's a little too far. Like
Yeah.
that actually you're physically like hurting me. Obviously not intentionally. We were playing.
No,
but,
I
like,
know. I totally know
but
what
it's
you
like,
mean.
yeah, so it's like I did have to say like, hey man, like you're stronger than you think,
Maybe the person he was in with a relationship before was like a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like you
He's
just
also like that with his friends, by the
don't
way.
know.
He's a very like touchy guy. Like he'll like
Yeah.
hop like on his friends. Like that's kind of how he is. So like my point is that he made that adjustment like really fucking fast. Like
Yeah.
right away.
I feel like that is the thing actually that matters, is not like, because all of us are going to come to our relationship with, I don't know, confusing habits or maybe even negative habits. Like I used to yell, And that is a deal breaker for lots of people. And I was eventually got into a relationship where they were like, yeah, we're not going to yell. And I learned not to yell. Like, even if we're
Right.
fighting or something, I don't yell anymore. And on some level, you could have been like, wow, what a horrible habit. And I don't like that habit. But we all have bad habits, or maybe even just neutral ones that you don't like. And it's more about like, do you adjust? That's
Yeah, I
it.
guess
I
like
think that's
with our
it.
dog person, some dogs do like rough play. So it's like he didn't necessarily know. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
and I don't think that, I think this could be salvageable, but I think it's like a very fine line here.
I would
So
be watching it. I think
yeah,
it'd be
yeah,
the thing where it's like, honestly, if you're so weirded out by it that you don't want to spend time around him,
yeah.
don't. But also, if you're like, I really don't know what this means, then just like really note it and watch.
And ask questions and talk about it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think bringing it out, like just mentioning it, be like, hey, like this made me feel really weird. And just naming it can also give you clarity sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like it would be so reasonable to be like, again, like, okay, I have to tell you like an awkward thing that's on my mind, but I can't stop thinking about my dog being afraid of you. And like,
Yeah.
she said she was a woman, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm a woman and I'm like, the physical difference between us is something all women think about
Yep.
all day long while they're dating every date. This is a reality of like me as a person, and also whether you're a woman or not. And like, it just made me feel weird, and now that's what I'm thinking about. But I also like you, and I also want to
Yeah.
understand what was going on, and like, it can just be a human moment. And I just think the good guy who cares about you and can like think about other people will not have a hard time understanding why you're
So
thinking
agree.
about it.
Yeah, you got to give them that, you have to give them that chance to show that they can be understanding by
Yeah.
you voicing it. Caroline, this has been such an awesome conversation. I loved everything you had to say. And I appreciate just you sharing, being so raw, real, and vulnerable with the listeners, because I know they can learn so much from your journey. Where can they get more of you?
Oh my gosh. Well, honestly, the best place to get more of me is on my podcast, which is called Not For Everyone. And we actually are doing a dating series through the summer of 2025. We're doing a monthly dating episode. Me and my podcast partner, we both met our partners on Hinge. And we love talking about dating. Like, I could talk about it
Yeah.
forever. I could talk about it forever. I have so many opinions. Yeah, we're doing a dating series right now on our podcast, Not For Everyone. And the dating series is called Hot Not Bothered Summer. It's all about how to date without losing your freaking sanity. An art, not a science.
Yep.
And so you can find me there. And of course, on my YouTube channel. It's not as much dating content there, but there is some. It's just a lot of fun hanging out stuff.
I love your channel. It's great. Go check it
Thank
out. I'll link
you.
both in the show notes. Thank you so much.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much for having me. I had the best time.